Sword Art Online. What was it called? Fractured Dream? Eternal Dream? Fractured Dream. I get all the titles mixed up. It's a good game. Kind of ish. I meant to do this a while ago, this video, but I forgot. Because I just finished up Batman Telltales. But I put that off because I didn't finish the Enemy Within and I was just going to do it all at once. So I totally forgot. It wasn't until I was doing Gundam where I was like, oh wait. Right. This game was between Gundam recently and then this game, oh boy. Pretty much the same thing, good and bad. Yikes. Well, this game was only a next-gen game, so that's good. It tailored more towards its graphics and gameplay and smooth and flow, and it wasn't held back with having a last-gen version, whatever. It looked a lot better, the foliage, the worlds, the atmosphere, the cutscenes, just everything looked great. Everything was really polished and shiny and fun, vibrant, colorful. The reason why I got confused with the title is because what was the last game? The last Recollection? I don't know. There's so many SAO games now. But this game is cool because it's the only second SAO game out of how many now that I've played that I actually finished. But just like with Gundam, and the only reason why I'm comparing them is because I played them recently back to back, but it was a lot more menu based, tab based. This story was so weird. It wasn't like anything else. Alicization, Last Recollection, Hollow Fragment, Hollow Realization, Fatal Bullet, Lost Song. Out of all those games, this is the first game where like it was more tailored towards online. What the why? Wait, what? If I want to play an online MMO, just go play Final Fantasy XIV, man. For Christ's sake. So many games, there might have been some co-op or multiplayer online mode built in as a secondary thing, but this game, they still had a big, surprising, actually, full-length story. I'd barely call it a story, but it was weird. Like, it started out as a story, and then it brought me to the main menu, which was like this whole online base. There was like newsletters and patch notes. There was one patch note I read where it was like, oh, there was some glitching in some bushes, so we fixed that. What the hell? We don't need to know that. It's just a poor excuse for an online game. I don't know. Like, I like the concept of it. Like, I think it was a good change of direction and change of pace. Like, oh, now you can play this, what was always mostly a single player game, into an online game, the MMO. It fit the story, it fit the anime, whatever. It just didn't need to be done. It's gonna die. If it hasn't died out already, it's going to really quickly. And I just wasn't interested in it, and I hate that that's probably, you know, obviously the majority and chunk of the game is the online mode. Like, dude, I just wanted a good SAO story, man. Don't mess with my games like that. Christ's sake. They barely made up for it by having as much story as I would have thought it was going to be a lot shorter, and Because it's kind of like Call of Duty, where oh, you know, we'll put in a full length campaign, but it's mostly multiplayer and zombies and whatever Warzone. But here it's, I mean, it's so different in a way. It's comparable as it is to Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy, because there's just like that game. There's a whole online game tied to it. So here they tried to stick them both in one. They should have separated it. I purchased a game where, thank God I kind of sat on it for a minute, but because I would have just felt straight up ripped off and scammed. I was like, dude, you guys done me dirty, man. There's half of any SAO game player is gonna be like, oh cool, and then the other half's gonna be like, what the fuck? I happen to be in that half where I'm like, what the fuck? Why? So I didn't appreciate that. Like the game itself wasn't really an issue. Like it wasn't nearly as drawn out. Like there was no, dude, there was no real like town. There was no life. There was no other players. There was no characters and NPCs and variety in different locations really. And it was, I mean there was, but it just didn't feel as cozy and comfortable and relaxing and chill. That's what I wanted. I've only completed one other SAO game, and I really wanted this one to be... Thankfully, the way it was designed, it was, you know, because you're just going from one mission to another, so like eventually you're probably gonna beat it, but it wasn't like an open world, you know, region-based type thing, which is what they normally do. Because the other games, I got so stuck on them because either things got just too confusing, or I was losing progress and time, or, you know, something got too hard. So I'm so used to only playing chunks of all these games. And this game couldn't have weirdly worked out better because, like, yeah, I kind of hated it, but at the same time, I'm just happy I was able to beat the damn thing. But they copped out, man. They finally did it. You bastards. They went the whole route of like alternate dimension, parallel universe, time travel, yah. I don't know, dude. I didn't buy it. I think that's such a cop-out and like a cheap, you know, like, what, do you guys run out of ideas, man? You guys do the same thing literally over and over, but you know what? It works, okay? You go from one world to another, you come back to one, you do whatever, you meet these new people along the way, whatever. But here, they're just like, you know what? Hey, let's fucking... let's just put everything into one game. Hell, let's put in some GGOs, some SAOs, some ALOs, some... what was it? Ordinal scale. It's like, what are you guys doing? It was different, once again, kind of like how I mentioned with Gundam. It was not the same typical standard thing, but my issue is, you know, when you have something that does work, and I don't really believe in that. I love my variety. I love different things and expanding and all the whatever, but here it's just lazy. It was cool to see GGO, especially alternative. That, holy shit. And I heard supposedly this was like an anniversary game, so like, okay, they want to do something special, and I don't know. To me, it wasn't really special. It was just kind of dumb. But I don't know. There's some cool parts. Like a lot of characters came back. Not all of them, obviously. And I'm so biased towards Fatal Bullet and GGO because that's the first SAO game I played, and there was a lot of that in here. And it's really not that hard to pick up on that too, once you kind of get the idea of what the game is. And I mean, in the intro, they pretty much spoil everything. They're like, hey, I was confused at first too, because I was like, wait a minute, why am I seeing Len and like, you know, all these people from all these other worlds? um, I don't know. Cutscenes are good.
そう、忘れちゃってても違和感を覚えることはできるの。
それは一体どういう。
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know. I mean, I'm so back and forth with everything because, like, okay, you still get Kirito. Everything you love about SAO is still there, but like, there's just so much missing. The things that put everything together, having a hub area and a base, and like, I loved always having there's no bonding systems. It was just so plain. There's no skill trees. There's no abilities. Some of that's tied into there, but it's so tailored towards the online mode. Which I'm glad they kept it simple and basic, because it really helped not try to throw in too much. Like, that's how these games can get really confusing, is like, you know, this is like one of the most basic MMO games you're really gonna get your hands on, so. But here, they actually made it even simpler, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but I don't know, like, it was cool being able to play as certain characters. It was cool, like, you know, there's a lot of nostalgia there. There's a lot of memories of all the games throughout the years, and the shows, and the seasons, and the animes, and blah, blah, blah. It was a lot, though. It was a lot to take in, and it was kind of just overwhelming and smothering, and you know, most of the time they're talking with each other, which is good, but they're not spending time with each other. They're not really doing anything. They're stuck in this situation where they're trying to figure shit out, and like, they don't really ever get anywhere. It's just a bunch of back and forth nonsense. Like, what am I sitting through and listening and watching right now and reading? Like, at least with the other shows, it was like, okay, if I may or may not have seen the anime, that might help kind of tie things together, especially because I usually watch that in English. But like here, or like, you get a sense of what's going on. Like, okay, we're here, this is what we're doing, this is who we're with, and where we're going. And here, there was no sense of direction. There was no real plan or mission, or it was just, ugh. Like, it did get better, and it took a long time for me to really sit down and kind of get comfortable enough to even keep going at all, but man, at first it was like, dude, I was about to give up on the game day one. Because it's just isn't what I wanted in an SAO game. And they made that very clear once they kind of shoved it in your face that this is not, you know, a typical SAO game that you might have played before. I would have rather just quit and just gone back and attempted to try to finish up some of the other games. Ones that are actually good and worth spending that kind of time in, because you could spend 100 hours in these games easily. At least. I mean, this game, the campaign alone, the story, whatever you want to call it, it was fairly long. But here's the problem, is I was just waiting for it to be over. I just wanted it to be done and move on, because I just wasn't really engaged in it enough. It wasn't immersive, it wasn't... I mean, it was, because it's SAO, but that's the most I got out of it, was like, they're using this brand, and it's like a crap game with an SAO skin on it. It just felt so like fake and hollow and shallow and just not real, and there's no heart in it, there's no charm, there's no... I was so disappointed. I liked getting to know the new characters. I liked everyone's together. It's kind of like seeing all the Power Rangers together. I love when worlds collide. AVP, Freddy versus Jason, when kind of two relatable things or whatever kind of come together from different franchises or series or two different seasons, or you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! They did the same thing there where all the main characters met each other, and I like that. I think it's really cool. It's cool in Pokemon when Brock or Misty came back and made an appearance or cameo or like a temporary. I like that stuff. I really do. I love fusing and like polymerization, like two things coming into one, making this whole brand new thing. I love that. It's birth. That's life. But this was just kind of like, it's like something Marvel would do, you know. Oh, hey, let's get everyone together. Let's put them all in the same world and universe, and it's all interconnected and interlinked. And oh my god, dude, it was just so dumb. Like and of course, yeah, the game looks good. It has the characters I liked, all these things, but it hit me in every wrong way that it possibly could. For a brand new game at a full price point, well, you know, at the time. Even at first, I really was debating it because I was like, okay, it's an SAO game. When I see it, I want it. I want to get it. I know what I want. I didn't even have to think about it or consider anything. One thing I didn't expect, though, was this game to just be so different. Because every SAO game that comes out, I'm like, hey, this is my chance to actually maybe finish the damn game, and we'll see what happens and how it goes. And because, dude, Last Week Collection really isn't even that old. It came out how long ago? And all of a sudden, this game just comes out of nowhere. Like, what the hell? At first, I was like, wait, what? A new SAO game again? They just had one. And I only played that. The last one was probably, unfortunately, the one I played the least, because I got to this dungeon and, like, I spent a lot of time in it, and like I kind of got boned last minute, and I had to start all over. I was like, no, just no, dude. I didn't like the game enough, really. The older games have so much more charm. Like, the worlds were never too good looking because you know you're in a simulation, you're in a game within an anime. It's this whole thing. They spent more time with each other. They really cared about each other. I love the cutouts they did, and the talking and walking around with your favorite partner at Xenon, for example, in town where you can just waltz around and hang out at, and you know, go do some shopping or go sit somewhere. And this game just, you just go in and you get out and that's it. It wasn't a game where you could sit down and just really have a good time. It was just, ugh. I didn't even try the online stuff because I just knew that that's just not what I wanted. I don't do that. I don't play those games anymore. I don't sit down and spend my time towards that and commit to something I may not be able to fully commit to. And it's not even worth trying out because I just don't take it seriously. Like, if I wanted to play an online game, I got a lot better ideas to put that time towards. Versus, no one asked for an SAO online game. It exists now. And there's I know there's people, because they came in and told me, but I know there's people taking full advantage of that too. And to me, I was just like, ugh, really? I like SAO as much as the next person, man, but like, come on, dude, you gotta have some dignity somewhere there, man. The more people that, the handful of people that play that game, dude, they're keeping that game alive and supporting it. And it's like, dude, let the game die out, man. Make them go back to some stuff that's actually good. People don't know how to separate what it is the game's trying to do with the world that it's based in, and like a lot of the times it's much easier to just kind of keep those separated, man, because you try to mix the two and this is what you wind up with. This blasphemy, ludicrous, just, ugh. Gameplay is good. Thankfully, the gameplay felt about the same. You know, you got your super, some lighter abilities, standard combat, blocking, jumping, sprinting, chess. But I don't know, dude. The only reason why that story mode existed was to favor the online stuff. Like half the things I was picking up, like little currency things, or I don't know what was going on half the time, but... And there was customization, which is cool, but like... My issue with that, as cool as that is like, it's different, once again. It's like, dude, they have such good default stock, like, outfits, man. The color schemes, the design, they're so clean, so good, sleek, stylish, polished, fancy. Then you start sticking them in random outfits, dude, and it's like, kind of just looks cheesy and tacky and not good. Like, someone call the fashion police. I appreciate, I don't know, this game made so many good notions. It finally kind of opened up a bit, and it's like, hey, I encourage to like go out of your comfort zone and try different things, try new things, but sometimes it just doesn't work. This was an anime game and this was SEO, but I couldn't look beyond that for 2 seconds. God, dude, and some of it was just so awkward too. Like, you know, you're about to see a scene, or you know, it's a very predictable thing. I know enough about like what's going on, who's who, what's what, where I'm like, oh god, how is this gonna go? This is awkward, this is weird. There's a lot of that in here. I don't know, there's still like big bosses, like everything you'd expect from an SEO game, but it just felt, ugh. The enemies are generic as usual, which is fine. There's no grinding, there was no materials, there was no like... There's still some flying, there's still... You know, you try to squeeze in so much from so many different games, doing so much different things, but still staying relevant. And it's just a hot mess. And I'm not biased towards stuff enough to be like, oh my god, even though this game sucks, like, oh, it's so good, oh my god. No! Stop it. It's not. And even I try to be as positive as possible most of the time. I give things the benefit of the doubt. I try to look at the big picture, think outside the box, all these things, but this game was pushing me, man. Like, by the time I was done with it, it felt good. It was a relief. Like, I was just glad it was done, to be honest, but it was pretty good. It was very cliche, but it was very effective. It works. And I can appreciate that and respect that, but I don't know, man. I guess we'll just see what the next... Who knows? They're probably going to come out with another one in like a month. But I don't know. I guess they can all be good, huh? And this just kind of goes to, like, you normally I love sequels, I love prequels, I love, like, if I like something enough, I don't give a shit what they did or done. Like, I'm happy. Just let me enjoy the stuff I like, okay? That's all I ask. That's all I want. It's my life, you know. I like to say I have a pretty good judgment on what's actually considered good or not. And I try to look at it with open arms and but this one was just, this is a dud. It's because we all have these, like, okay, this is what we grew up with, this is what we played first, this is what we watched first, this is where we're at now, this is how my life is, this is the things that I've been through, my experiences, these are the shows I watched when I was going through this or that, this is the time, this is the platform I watched it on, all these things, it all comes together. And for me, I don't know, seeing Len and what's her butt, whatever. Seeing those two little cute girls from GGO Alternative, that was, my heart melted. I had my waifu scene on, dude, Death Gun, Fatal Bullet. I thought that was, like, the things I love the most about this series was in this game. And I thought that was really cool. Because, like, finally I'm not just going off of, like, oh, Alicization, hollow this, hollow that. Like, instead of it being a very scripted, preset, pre-done, pre-made, put-together thing, now you can kind of scatter it around and really play with the pieces that they gave you, and I thought that was really cool. But was it enough to justify what they did to the rest of the game? I don't know. And half the time you're like, okay, was this their plan? Was, like, the audience of me and who I am and where I stand with the SAO, and is this exactly what they wanted? Was this their plan all along, to make me say these exact same things right now? I don't know. Like, I don't want to be baited and fall into their little trap, but this kind of opinion is very justified because, you know, I don't let things blind me. I don't wear my beer goggles. I see through things, and but I can see this game tried, and I'm trying to look at it on a positive note here, but it did its best. It really put itself out there, and it didn't play it safe. It didn't stick to one thing. It didn't. And in this kind of day and age in this world, I can really get that, because, man, that's something I can't really get on with or agree with at all. You know, I don't know. I think the idea is nice, like, oh, this is gonna be the banger, dude, this is gonna be the whole, you know, the whole cake, we're gonna have all the star hitters, dude, you know, it's like a mashup, a compilation, a montage of everything that made SAO what it is today, and that might work in other ways, and depending on what it is, and the concept will always still stand. I've just seen it better executed better elsewhere. I've seen it done better before. So I can't really sit here and say that this game was amazing, because it wasn't. But that's okay. It was good enough for me to play, to finish, to purchase the damn thing, to install it, to give it a go and commit and complete it. And I'm just, for an SAO game, that's pretty impressive. Considering what half the games expect you to kind of do and go through and sit through. And so yeah, I mean, these games are only gonna really be towards the fans anyway. It's gonna be the fans and then the just anime people who would play whatever, and then who, I don't know. Anyone who's open to it, I guess, right? But for me, it was perfect because I got to see it through two different eyes and see it both sides of what it had to offer. And yeah. Sword Art Online. Fractured Dream, I think was the title.